Lovely to see you. Welcome to Coco's crafting table. We seem to have quite a lot of colours going on in the background this morning, and I've also got quite a lot of colours going on in my knitting project as well, which I'll talk to you about later. My name is Rachel. Coco is my cat, who sometimes comes and jumps all over the things on the table, and I think she's asleep at the moment, so we'll have to see if she joins us later. So in today's video, I would first of all like to say thank you very much indeed to anyone who subscribed, who commented. It's lovely to read your comments. Please do leave me more comments. And anybody who liked my videos, that's great. And our numbers are steadily growing, although we have reached a very important YouTube milestone. And that is the apple crumble milestone. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go back and look at my previous video, and I will talk to you more about that later in the video. Coming up in today's episode, in no particular order, I will update you on all my crafts. That's my knitting, my crochet, my sewing. But I'd also like to tell you why I like to craft in this particular room in the house, why I don't have a craft room, and how I organise myself so that I've got everything handy. Well, here's a different angle. This is my dining room, and I'm just going to pop you down here so that I can introduce you to my trolley. I'm still here, but I thought this would be a better angle for you to see my trolley. It has 4 shelves like this, lovely big shelves. I'll try and show you them all. So there we are, down to the floor, and it's one of the best buys I've ever made, I think. So I'd like to show you what I keep on my trolley, and on the very top shelf is my sewing box. Take out the tray that's at the top, and then I just pop that on top of there, and that's really handy. Also on the top shelf, I like to keep this. It's a mat that you put down, and it's for when you're putting anything gluey that you've got to set. So for example, if I'm using Bonder web, I will spread this out, put whatever's on there, cover it with the top layer, and then I can iron on top, and nothing gluey will stick to my iron. And that pops in just behind the sewing box on the top shelf, and the sewing box stops it from all coming unravelled, undone. Next to this sewing box, very recently I found this lovely little bookshelf, expanding little book ends sort of thing, and so that can pop into there, and it saves me having to pile my books up on top of each other. This is where I can put all my notebooks that I'm using. And most importantly is my whips folder. So this is any instructions for anything I happen to be making at the time, go into this folder, and that sits nicely there. Going on to the second shelf. And the first thing I will find is my lovely Emma Ball tin, and in here are all my scissors. So I've got scissors for cutting fabric, and scissors for cutting paper if I'm making patterns. Scissors are used for cutting things out with Bonder web, and all kinds of scissors. I've got pinking shears, small scissors, and all sorts in there. But so that's my tin with scissors. That sits there nicely. I have another tin, and this one is full of threads, machine threads, some slightly thicker threads as well that have come with different kits I've had. All of these colours down here are things that I bought when I was making face masks a few years ago. So those are threads I've had a long time, and also bobbin threads for the sewing machine. So that goes in here. More boxes of thread. These are DMC stranded cottons. and they're all arranged in colours and number order, because I do like to be able to find things instantly. If I'm looking for a particular number, I want to be able to put my hands on it straight away. So that's there. And then I have another similar box of stranded cottons, and these have got anchor threads that have come from kits that I don't know what make they are, and they're all put in here as well. And I've also got a threads tin here. Do you see Peter Rabbit? That came with my Peter Rabbit Hachette quilt kit. It was a freebie, and those are all the threads that came with that. I don't know what make they are at all, so I don't want to mix them up with everything. And having them in this tin, I know I've got all the threads for my quilt there. So that pops in there. And also on that shelf is a very strange item. It says pate on it. It's not for snacking, trust me. But it's an empty little plastic container. And I put that out on my table if I'm snipping off bits of threads or yarns or bits of fabric. And it's got this nice lid that goes on top so that the cat can't get at it and steal bits and eat them, because she would if I gave her half a chance. But also I like the fact that it's plastic and not fabric, because that means I can empty it out really quickly into the bin when I'm ready. So that's that shelf. Now on the side here, I've clipped 3 bulldog clips, and so that I can hang things from the clips, but also there's room for my sock blockers, so they can go on there. Bag with my colourwork hat, and I can have the bag, and my bag with my sock knitting in. Oops. This bag that I can have for other small projects, maybe a small crochet project, and that will hang on there as well. So we now have 2 shelves left. So on this 3rd shelf here, I keep my woolen pressing mat, and I keep it in a plastic wallet because I don't want cat hair all over it. So that's that, and that just pops on there. And then all my other sewing packets, so I've got my Peter Rabbit character squares packet, that pops on there as well, and my Peter Rabbit patchwork squares pocket, that will go on there too. And I've still got on there actually this Louise Nichols one that I need to put a backing on, so that will also go on there. And because there's quite a big gap here, I can fit my blanket, my crochet blanket on there. And on this bottom shelf that I don't have to get to too often is my box file, and in here are the fabrics for each of my patchwork squares, all ready to take out and be made. There's some backing fabric for the quilt in there, and also the squares that I've finished. So the blocks rather. You can tell I'm not a quilter, can't you? So that sits there, and then in that gap next to it is a little tin. Unfortunately, I've eaten all the sweets and chocolates, and that is full of electronic things to do with my computer and things that I don't know how to work yet, like microphones. So that's all in there. The trolley is fantastic. It's like having a mini craft room right next to me here. I can reach everything I need, and when my grandchildren come, and they come every week, they need to have the whole table. If they're doing crafting, or if we've got a jigsaw out, or if they're cutting and sticking, anything they want to do. There's 3 of them, so they need lots of space. So I need to be able to transform my room from my crafting room to the dining room as quickly as possible. And it's so easy when it's all on that trolley. I can just wheel it through into the other room and everything's out of the way. And then we've got room for it to have a meal or whatever we want to do on the table, which is great. I love it. And also I like to be tidy, because I've discovered, probably quite later in my life really, that my head is so much clearer to think about things and to have creative thoughts if I've got a nice clear space to begin with. So every single time I stop doing anything, if I stop knitting, it all goes back on the trolley tidy, so that I can come to it next time with a nice clear head and think, oh, I'm ready to go. I haven't got to start tidying up, clearing away things. I can just do whichever project I want to do. So it's all there ready to start. And that is really great. I love it. The reason I like to craft in this room rather than any other room, I have got the choice. I could go into 2 or 3 other rooms in the house and make them into a craft room should I want to. But then they're darker. They're not so handy for the kitchen, for the front room, for getting to things easily, making a drink, answering the door if anybody's here. I can actually, normally when I'm in here, the curtains will be open. I can see outside, although the garden's not particularly pretty. I can see if there's a delivery coming at the front. It's just really, really handy, and it's a nice space to work in. And I like it. I think being shut in a room surrounded by clutter, and it would be clutter for me, I think that would kind of stifle any creativity that I've got. What do you like working in your craft room? Have you got a craft room? Let me know in the comments if you have a craft room. For me, it's important to have space around me, and the space that I can get up and move. I'm not very good at sitting still for more than about 5 minutes. So I'm up and down, up and down. I'm getting up to make a drink or to feed the cat or to answer the door or whatever else you have to do. And this way I've got access to things. I can walk into another room that I've got all my yarns in downstairs and other bits and bobs, and I can show you those another time. But I can walk there, and that's exercise. Not only is it exercise, it also helps to keep my brain going and to thoughts going around in my brain, because I have lots of thoughts going ping, 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 ping all the time, and it's kind of good to keep moving around. So that's all about my trolley. So there, now we'll have to talk more about my crafting updates. I think I'll go and get a coffee. Have you got a drink? Quickly, let's make a drink. Well, here I am back. I've got my coffee in a lovely little Emma Ball mug with my little birds on it. Look, have I shown you this before? I love it. They're all different all the way around. They're so sweet. I do love Emma Ball mugs. Really, I enjoy anything to do with nature and sewing and crafting, that sort of thing. Nature inspired, I like best. So this is a bit nature inspired as well. My crochet blanket. Let's do some crochet updates, shall we? I'm making the Coastal Retreat blanket by Eleonora Tully from Coastal Crochet, and that's what it's going to look like at the end. And I've got on a bit further. So last week I think I was up to there, wasn't I? Because I was just making that row of white lemon peel stitch. Well, I've gone further, and I've discovered, because I didn't even look when I started, that this section of the pattern repeats a few times, and I think I can repeat it as often as I want to make it as long as I want. It's a lap blanket, so I'm currently on the second repeat, as you can tell, and I'm absolutely loving it because I love the colours on it. I just love it. And look what happens here. So on this, the stitches are just so interesting to me. They're not just straightforward trebles, doing different things with trebles. There are double trebles in this. There are, and I'm talking UK terms here. There are lots of chains here. So these are trebles and then a load of chains, and then what you do on the next round, it ends up looking like this. This is the round here for this biscotti round, the colour, and it's going to have these little hearts coming next, and they get crocheted over the top of these bits here, so you don't see these bits in the pattern at all because they go down. So I really, really enjoy making it. I can recommend any of Eleonora's patterns. Now, who was I watching the other day? Oh, I think it might have been Dawn from Dawn's Days. And if you're watching, Dawn, hello. I hope you're feeling better. I think Dawn said she was going to be getting her picnic on the beach blanket out again, and that was the very first crochet blanket I ever made. And I will show you my blankets at some point, because as I said the other in a couple of videos ago, I need to make more space in my airing cupboard, so I will show you the blankets, and then I can start giving them away either to my friends or to the charity shop or somewhere, because I won't stop making them, and I just don't want them to overflow my airing cupboard. You might wonder what I do with my blankets, and I'll tell you that in a future video. So I love that. And then I thought, I'll crochet something else. And I did show you, I believe, near the beginning, some feet. So have you guessed whose feet they were? I'm sure you'll have guessed whose the black and white feet are. I don't need to tell you that one. But the little yellow feet, have you guessed who they might belong to? There, oh, there they are. And they belong to a little goose, who now looks a bit squashed. He is a little goose. And this little goose came from the TOFT, what does it say? How to Crochet Animals Farm book. And there's lots of little tiny projects in here that I haven't made anything out of here before, and I've even forgotten I'd got this book. But because of all that TOFT yarn I'd got left over that I showed last week, I decided I'd have a little go at the goose. And that's what he's meant to look like. And this is what he does look like. So I used the colours I'd got. I believe this is oatmeal and that this is yellow. I don't think it has a special name. So I've used the right colours. Look at his funny old beak. I'm not very good at crochet toys. I'm a bit of a beginner when it comes to toys, but I'm sure my granddaughters will enjoy that. I think I've put his legs on at a bit of a funny angle, but I've put them so that he could sit down if he wanted to. But hello goose, I don't know what your name is. Oh, let me get my other goose, hang on. Yeah, this was my knitted goose that I think was May Lily Knits that I talked about before. And here is, she can have this little baby goose for her little gosling. The beaks are totally different shapes, but it's funny how crochet and knitting, things come out differently, don't they? But anyway, there they are. So let's do a quick sewing update. I made another block for my Peter Rabbit patchwork quilt. I had to make it a couple of times. I think I'm happy with the way they joined to a point in the centre. I made it by hand, but again I had cut round templates that I'd cut out of card. I'd printed them from the templates I was given. I'd photocopied the templates from the pattern and I'd printed them onto card and cut them out. But I had made a 1/4 inch line around each square the way it had said. Now when I watched a video from the lovely Penny from Penelopes Chinwag, and if you haven't met Penelope yet, do go over. I'll put details of her channel down below. She's got a video on explaining how to make patchwork, and it's different from English paper piecing. Penny's video shows you how to make squares of patchwork together. She's not showing you triangles, at least on the bit that I watched. But I've decided not to draw around and cut out the template the way I have been doing. I'm having to use scissors because I'm not practiced enough with my rotary cutter. Sorry, I can't think of the word. And so I really could do with practicing with that, but I don't want to waste fabric, and I can't practice on this because I haven't got enough fabric. What I think I'm going to do is draw with a heat erased pen a square the size I need it to be. I've measured all the templates, they're really uniform, so each of the squares where I need to sew, if it's a square, it's going to be 5 centimetres by 5 centimetres. And if I drew that onto a piece of fabric using the quilting ruler, then I could then cut round it and make sure I mark dots in the corners of where I need to sew along, and maybe then over the heat erased pen lines with a pencil. and then cut myself a border around, because it won't matter if the border's slightly wonky. What Penny was saying in her video was, if you've cut it out wonky at the edges and then you just draw yourself a line a quarter of an inch in, or whatever your seam allowance is, then it's not, your pieces aren't all going to fit together. So I'm feeling I should do it the opposite way around. So watch this space and I'll tell you how it works out next week. So that's my sewing. I'm really missing my sewing that I was doing every week last year. I was making at least one piece of textile art and completing it every week. And although now I've started this hobby of YouTubing, I wouldn't have time to make a completed one every week and all the other things I'm doing. And there's a reason why I'm doing so many hobbies, which I will tell you about in a future video because it would take too long on this one. So now I'm wanting to make another sewing project that isn't a kit. And I've got an idea for what I want to do, connected with my family tree. But it's just a matter of getting the ideas down, or I might make another bird. So I'll tell you next week what I decided to do. Moving on to the knitting update. Well, I did show you very briefly at the beginning of the episode, but look where I'm up to. You can see the flowers appearing. This is the bottom of a flower here on my hat, and it's the Buggiflooer beanie hat, and that's how it's looking. That's how the inside's looking. Do you need to see the inside of my floats? I know people do show them, but I'm not sure why. I don't know. Maybe mine are terrible. Who knows? They look reasonably even. I thought there was one really long one across there then, but it isn't. I have caught it in places. So I'm still using my stitch markers, and I did not take my own advice from last week's video. When I was writing out my numbers on one round, the round previous to this one, I had forgotten to put which colour the stitch pattern ended with. And so I ended one of the sections in the wrong colour, and then I didn't realise till I'd got all the way around and starting on the next section, and I thought, no, I forgot to write it in. So I had to go back around, but not very far, to put it right. So it's a good job I did that. There's yellow in there. There's only one round of yellow. Can you actually see the yellow? I think you can on the camera. It's really hard to see it in real life. And then there's going to be one round of yellow a bit further up. And that's all there's going to be in it. But anyway, and it does actually seem to fit. Shall I try it on? It's only the start. But look, it will just about, it's like a tea cozy. But it does go on. And it's not completely too tight. Oh dear. Oh, who cares? Honestly. I'm too old to worry about whether it looks silly or not. Oh, I'm just glad nobody's watching it, I know. I haven't told anybody what I'm doing. I haven't told any friends or family what I'm doing yet, because apparently it's not a good idea to tell them at the start, because I don't want to confuse the algorithm. I think I've confused the algorithm myself plenty at the very beginning. But anyway, that's another story. So yes, I think it's going to fit me. Well, we'll see when it's finished. But that's all I'm going to show you with my knitting this week, because I haven't done much more on the sock. And I think it's we've only got about a week left in March, so I need to crack on with that sock, because I would like it done by the end of the month, if at all possible. So now we come on to the apple crumble. And on last week's video, I did say that I was going to wait until I got a certain number of subscribers before I made the apple crumble. Well, now I'll tell you what that number was going to be. We were sort of on the way to 60 subscribers last week, and I thought I'll wait till I get 60. But by the time the video went out last Thursday, I'd gone past 60 and I was on the way to 70. So I thought, right, I'm going to wait till I hit 70. So I did. And I made my apple crumble, and I also made an apple, pear and blueberry crumble. And one of the lovely comments I read, somebody had asked, would I share how I make my apple crumble? So I thought, well, I will. and I've made a short video just on the end of this one so that you can see how I made it. It may be nothing like the way you make apple crumble. You might have never even heard of apple crumble if you don't live in the UK, but please let me know in the comments how you, either if you've seen it before, if you make it a different way, if you've never heard of it, you know, which country you're viewing from. I love reading comments and answering them, and I do answer everyone that comes in, so that would be lovely. And please subscribe if you haven't already, because that really helps the channel to grow. Well, I was just about to say goodbye when the post lady arrived with a parcel from the wool warehouse. Ooh, white fluffy, black fluffy, and more black fluffy yarn, usually in an organza bag, but not on this occasion. King Cole Cuddles Chunky. What could that be for? I think I might have been going to knit something with this. Well, maybe I'll tell you next time. So where were you when I was recording the video this morning? Have you been in bed all morning? Have you? Coco? You were asleep. And I needed you to entertain everybody. I even had to try on my hat. You missed it. Oh dear. Enjoy your crafting. Thank you so much for watching and take care. Bye for now.